are trying to reach their loved ones, especially if they're trying to reach up north. So the infrastructure right now is simply overloaded. It's only 3 hours since the initial quake struck. Information is starting to seep in. The local authorities and the local media are reporting a vast array of numbers that at this point we just simply can't confirm, including a number of deaths, how many fires there are, and there are reports of injuries, across the country. But at this point, trying to confirm that information, trying to get and really understand what's happening up north has been extraordinarily difficult. I can tell you that we are still feeling aftershocks here in Tokyo, that they are certainly nothing like that first one we felt, the first quake we felt 3 hours ago, and they've seemed to lessen in strength as the day progresses. But the aftershocks are continuing. Here in Tokyo, the rail line does not appear to be back up yet. As we last checked, people are still kind of walking around in the streets. It's a bit of an extraordinary sight. If you go by any of these parks, the parks are simply filled with people who are standing around trying to figure out what they're going to do next. So it's really been a bit of an unusual day in Tokyo as people try to sort of gather their thoughts and try to remain calm and try to respond in a calm manner. We want to make clear the situation in Tokyo is vastly different than what's happening up north. Up north is the impact of the tsunami. It is the immediate emergency, trying to rescue people out of that region, trying to collect the lives there, trying to make sure that people are okay and try to respond to that initial emergency. Here in Tokyo, because we have such a dense population base, you have 13 million people here in this city, and if you don't have effective public transit, you really are going to have a serious problem. The people, for the most part, are behaving very calmly. A lot of the buildings have been evacuated. We're the only people left in this particular building. And at this point, it's the evening commute home. But there's no easy way to get home now.
Yeah, and Kang-la, you mentioned something earlier that when the rail line stops, that's when people, certainly in Tokyo, know that this is a serious situation because they are used to earthquakes all of the time. But once the railways stop, that's a different story, isn't it?
Once the railways stop and then they announce that they will be shut down for a while, that is extraordinary. This is a country where if your train is maybe 10 or 15 seconds late, you start to question it. You start to wonder what's wrong. So when a rail line, and there's an extensive rail system here in Japan, when it's completely shut down, that signals that there is a national emergency going on, and certainly that's what Japan is experiencing right now.
And as you mentioned too, it is very difficult to confirm information in a situation like this. It's ongoing. This is not over yet. People are still waiting for more waves, more tsunamis there in Japan and right across the Pacific Rim. But we were hearing information a little earlier about confirmed deaths, 8 confirmed deaths. But unfortunately, I mean, that number will rise in this sort of situation.
I can tell you from listening to just the various national newscasts here, many people are saying that the number is much higher. We have not been able to confirm any numbers, but certainly what we're talking about, a magnitude, an earthquake of this magnitude, an impact region that is so wide, we're expecting that there could be a rise in those initial numbers.
And of course, the witness reports we've received from people there in Tokyo, as you point out, and as they pointed out too, a very different situation for people in Tokyo. It's a very sturdily built city, 13 million people, as you said, and for those people, they're very calm. But of course, it's along the coastal areas because of these ongoing tsunamis where the danger is. And what sort of mechanisms are in place for people when those waves do come ashore?
Japan is built with an emergency broadcasting system, and as soon as there is a tsunami warning or alert issued, there is an immediate bulletin issued, whether it be via mobile phone, television, radio. This is one of the most plugged-in countries in the world. There is vast wireless access. Almost every single person you meet has a wireless phone. So if that alert goes out, it is a message that is received. And this country prides itself on getting the word out very quickly. The problem that we have here is because we're talking about such a large tsunami, such a large earthquake, it's very difficult to a very large emergency like that. So the country can try to be as prepared as possible, but you can't prepare for everything. I can tell you from being along the coastline that when you stand on the coastline, something that you notice in Japan is that there are actually gates built into the concrete. There are not the wide, sandy beaches that you might expect in an island. There are huge concrete walls. There are concrete gates that immediately close once there's a tsunami alert issued. So this is a country that tries to prepare for a tsunami, that has been affected by tsunami, that has had people die from tsunamis in its history. So it does try to prepare for that. But again, what any emergency personnel will tell you is that we can prepare for the worst, but we can't prepare for everything, especially when you talk about a large event like this. We're starting to see even more devastation, more pictures coming through, and we're expecting much more of this to come in, what you're watching on your screen here, because everybody has a camera, everybody has a mobile phone. So we're anticipating this is something that we're going to see being shared across the country. Many people felt this earthquake here in Japan today.
Most definitely. Kyung La reporting there from Tokyo, our correspondent there, covering the whole